Sorry, I'm doing something new. I'm trying to pin my good morning. Hello, my two besties. I got Robin and LOL and Lucas. Good morning. I'm so sorry. I was just trying to pin my spirit spray for you guys. If you're interested in a spirit spray, fix the light, you're not yellow enough. This is as yellow as it gets. I wish I could turn it down. I probably should get a less powerful one. Good morning! How are we doing? Can you guys tell me if you see the pinned... Explain the lights. If you see... Spirit said explain the lights. If you see the pinned product in the live stream, because I don't know if I pinned it or not. Okay, I'm going to press this button. You tell me if anything happens. Do you see a pinned product at the top? It should say Star Water. Not me? Okay. Well, let me unpin it. Let me see. How about now? Now you see it? Okay. Yeah, perfect. So, hello everybody. Oh my gosh, you guys, I love you guys so much. I do. I love you guys so much. I have been waiting all week to come on. I'm so excited to be here, for real. Let me do a little... My name is Charles. Let's do our spiritual hygiene. How's everyone doing? While people are coming in the chat, we'll do some spiritual hygiene. If you guys don't know what that is, going into the new earth energies, or we are in the new earth energies, you have to attend to your electromagnetic field. You can use sound, you can use smoke, you can use clearing spray, which is an alternative to smoke. We made one, if you are, what's the word? If you are obliged, if you want to get one, we pinned it for you. You don't have to, but if you have, smoke irritates people in my house and myself, so we did a smokeless clearing spray. Does my channel name is come? I don't know. I don't even know what that means. Anyway, you should be doing your spiritual hygiene. You have to clear your field. We should be living electromagnetically. So if you have some things on your field that could alter your perception or the way you perceive, it could limit the way you perceive. So sound, smudging, prayer, Bellatrix. Prayer, affirmations, things like that. Those are the non-physical things you do to help your field. Ooh, I'm feeling a little, oh, you know what? Let me just spray some spray right now. My remains. Spray some spray right now. So, dang, that was weird. I felt this buzzing in my forehead, and then it was like it pulled my thought out of my head, like Dumbledore, and when he pulls those things out of his head, those memories, and he puts them in the pot. That's weird. Someone's trying to grab my memories. You trying to make me forget? I can't forget. Once you know, you never forget. So stop trying to make me forget. Do you wear latex and thigh boots? People are wild, man. I don't understand people. People are wild. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you're subscribing. My name is Patience. Let's get started. My name is Patience. Thank you so much for being here. I'm your host of Spirit News, where we bring you higher perspectives of linear views. I'm your favorite spirit medium here to bridge the gap with supernatural education, because we are not taught the things we should be taught in school. We should be taught about our electromagnetic field. We should be taught that we do not die. We should be taught about the archons that we share this earth with.
Explain the lights.
We should, and Spirit said, explain the lights. I'm not yellow, it's my light. Okay? We're talking to Beethoven today. 17.7 in the chat. And before we start, I want to say thank you to you guys. I have a lot of day ones in here, and I really love you guys. And to all my new subbies, thank you so much for being here. We're spirit medium, we're child psychic, we are learning our spiritual abilities through the help of our spirit team in real time, taking the guidance that I gain from them and using myself as an experiment with that information, living a high vibrational life in alignment with our electromagnetic frequency. And Spirit says that you are first and foremost a non-physical entity having a human experience. And so your pure non-physical form, your natural state, is 100% pure positive energy. And you come here to have a limited experience, to experience density, to know what it's like to not be 100% pure love. And so this earth realm is for that. If you're here, you are here because you know that of your infiniteness and your limitlessness, and you wanted to experience limitation. Having said that, the point of coming here is multidimensional. There isn't one reason, but as we go further into the new earth energies,
be careful.
It will require us to have knowledge of our non-physicalness, because we are becoming more photonic, where our light bodies are becoming more activated. And as that happens, those dense emotional hang-ups that you have not overcome or not healed yet are going to be the things that hold you back from alignment. And there's a new way of living that we should be learning, because it's different for everyone, by accepting that we're non-physical first. Because if you believe that you're just a human and nothing happens after this, you're going to have a hard time wrapping your head around the things that are going to be coming up. Okay, so Spirit has led us here to this avenue for us to contact those who have crossed over, and what we're finding is that the perpetuation of religion and the false narratives have led us astray from alignment, and it has made us ignore our spiritual selves. And in the ignorance of our spiritual selves, it is harder for us to maintain alignment or find alignment when we're not taught our supernatural education and what that means to us as far as our spirits, as our souls go. And so we're really passionate about coming on here, speaking with crossover loved ones, celebrities, historical figures, anyone who's crossed over that has a story.
It will affect everyone.
That has a story to tell. We're down. There's a line. I'm telling you, there's a line of crossover people. I cannot read them fast enough. And yet, at the same time, there's powers that be that don't want them read. So I try my best to come on every weekend. We come on every weekend, every Saturday and Sunday at 6 a.m. We do not announce who we read ahead of time, because it gets manipulated and something happens. I end up
bad entities here.
Bad entities here, yeah. They try to stop us from reading it, so we do not announce who we read ahead of time. But if you're on your spiritual journey and you are here, then I'm so grateful to you. Thank you so much. You're one of us. Thank you so much. You know what's going on. We're here to show you that you're not alone, but not to do it like us, but to show you that it's being done. If you want more metaphysical information and knowledge, please go to Spirit News. You can find any of our socials through the link tree. If you're interested, if you're on a spiritual journey and you're learning spiritual hygiene, you're learning how to be deliberate, you're learning what deliberate intention feels like, we have a smudge spray. It cleanses, connects, protects. So it grounds you, it protects you, and it clears your field. And you can use it until, it's like training wheels for your thoughts. You can use it until you can clear your field without anything outside of you. You can do it instantly through your thoughts, through your beliefs, through your intentions, through your deliberateness, through your love. Until then, we do have a spray. If you want to look at it, purchase it, whatever you want to do, you can find it through,
You're welcome to stay.
I pinned it in the chat, or you can go to our Shopify, okay, whatever, and it's only, we tried to make it kind of cheap, so, you know, we're not here to make money, we're here to help the collective, so we want to get the cost back, but we're not here to, like, overprice you or anything. We just want to give you tools for your ascension, for your journey, okay? So we love you so much. That's enough of me. So listen, we're talking to Ludwig van Beethoven. Now, if you were here at the last live, someone brought this person up, and I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was, but we were just saying that because we were talking to Frank Sinatra, and it turns out that Frank Sinatra skipped the draft for going into war because he had it was medically shown that he had something about his eardrum. He was hard of hearing. He had a busted eardrum from childhood. And so the question that brought this up was, well, how could you make music if you have a busted eardrum? It would be very hard for you to make music. And we AI'd it and everything, and they said yes, it would be very difficult. Now, is anything impossible? No, anything is not impossible. If you can think it, you can be it, for sure. But there's also two polarities in this realm, and so we're understanding through these readings that a lot of people choose the shortcut route. And it kind of reminds me of this conversation that I had yesterday with somebody, and they were saying that
You're misinterpreting me.
they were saying that they wanted to do DMT. Now, I don't care if you do DMT, I don't care. But from my own journey, what Spirit has taught me is that those are just tools. You know, those hallucinogens are just tools. But oftentimes what happens is because you have a hallucinogen that proclaims to connect you to interdimensionals and stuff, you want to take the shortcut and you want to experience that. Well, in my experience, you know, I used to want that too because I wanted to feel connected so badly or have that like extreme experience where I could see with my physical eyes something or you know, so I thought. And in talking to this person, you know, it just brought up that what Spirit says is that you don't need, if you're in alignment with your highest self, with the highest version of yourself, with your pure state of your soul, magnetically, if you're matching the positive energy, you can have spiritual experiences all the time, every day, and they can be powerful, and it can be loving, and it can be kind, and it can be profound. And I experience that on a daily basis. You can talk to your guides, you can talk to God in real time. You do not have to take a hallucinogen to experience God or connection. You just have to be disciplined enough to
Gentleness.
and gentleness with yourself and grace for yourself when you mess up. But you have to have discipline. You have to have self-control. You have to know that it's there, and it's not that it's never there. It's you that's cut off from that. So a lot of people like to take shortcuts is the short version of what I'm saying, and I didn't tell this person this because they're on their own journey. They might need to go through that experience to learn that they don't need that. But I told them, you don't need that. You could just do it yourself. And they were like, well, they have a family and they meditate and it doesn't work for them, and I'm not saying that it's easy. It's definitely not the easy way. It takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of hard work to choose the right path, to choose the positive polarity and find your gifts through that means. But a lot of people like to take a shortcut, and that's ultimately what I was saying. They like to take a shortcut. It's easier to take the bait and try it this way, and then, see what happens. It's easier to say yes in the moment. What if you were, you know, um, invited to partake in a ritual that would give you ultimate talent and power and knowledge? A lot of people fall for that. Okay, so that was just kind of like a little nugget I got, and then I got a song. But before we start the song, let's learn a little bit about Beethoven. I'm sorry, that's the stuff I got beforehand. Okay, so Ludwig van Beethoven. So first of all,
Warmth.
he never smiles. This guy never smiles. I'm sorry if I can't read all the comments. Does not eating meat increase your spiritual potential? I think it's different for everyone. What I'm learning, and I'm definitely no expert, and that's LOL. You have the best questions. Can I just tell you that you have the best questions? I love you so much for that. Thank you for asking me, for trusting in my answers.
I'm in my 20s.
Robin! Thank you, Robin. I love you so much. Thank you. I don't know everything, and I'm definitely learning as we go. But what I'm learning is like you can be vegan, but if you're still smoking cigarettes and you're doing hallucinogens and you're doing drugs and you're around people that are manipulative and stuff, it doesn't really matter. It can be a part of your spiritual journey, and it can absolutely help amplify your connection depending on your soul blueprint. But what I've been taught, or what I've been told, is that all of us have a blueprint, and our blueprint will determine what our body needs for its ultimate potential.
Temptation.
And everyone's different, and some people can live without meat and some people can't, and like they actually can't. There's something in their soul's blueprint that requires a level of protein that isn't available unless you eat meat. And that's just the way it is. It's just everyone chooses what is best for their soul's vessel. And there are people who
Wilson.
have predispositioned their souls to operate on a vegan diet, and that works for them. And so it really comes down to what the soul's path is, and I that's the different way of thinking that we need to start absorbing and accepting that it doesn't. Everyone's on a different journey, and some, like for me, I can't go full vegan, but I'll eat some fish and chicken here and there, and that's enough for my soul growth. So it's really different for everyone. But I've known people who've actually died from becoming a vegan because it was like, first of all, it was like a shock to their system, and then their body just, after so long of eating a certain way, and then going another direction, it just wasn't, they weren't listening to the signs their body was showing them to tell them, like, no, maybe you could go vegetarian, but going full vegan just isn't for you. So it definitely have to listen to your body, ask your body what it needs and what it wants. And you can try it, but don't, when it starts becoming, you start getting lightheaded all the time, or you're not getting the nutrients, that's when you should start, accepting that it might have to be a little different for you. Okay? So thank you for that. That was a great question. Thank you. But I will say, just to end it on this, eating foods with the most amount of light in it is very beneficial. So eating a lot of fruits and vegetables. Spirit says if you do eat meat,
Environment.
the meat that receives the most amount of light, that has the thinnest skin, will be the most beneficial for your light body. And then eating the meats that are denser, that have less light, will be better for your physical body. So if that helps kind of help you understand from our perspective. Okay? So Ludwig van Beethoven, He's the most serious man in the world, and he was born December 1770 in Germany. He died March 26, or his body died March 26, 1827. Okay, and he died at 56 years old in Vienna, Austria. If you guys don't know Beethoven, he made I wonder if I could play it. Let me see if I could play it. I can play it for like 30 seconds. Are you playing? It's so quiet. Oh, here. He made for Elise, you know, do 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 do.
Choose.
You think you're rubbing do 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 do. He's so angry! He's so angry!
Don't move.
He's so angry. I feel an anger from him. Okay, so he died at 56. It says, German composer, conductor, and pianist who is considered one of the greatest classical composers. His work bridged the classical and romantic periods, and his innovative composing techniques and emotional depth expanded the possibilities of symphony, which is beautiful. Concerto, Sonata, Quartet. So, Ludwig van Beethoven died on March 26, 1827 in Vienna at the age of 56. His death was primarily...
1810.
Spirit just said 1810. Let me write that down. He wants to talk about something that happened in 1810.
Cancer.
Cancer. Interesting, okay. His death was primarily caused by severe liver failure, cirrhosis, exacerbated by hepatitis B, chronic heavy alcohol consumption, and significant lead poisoning. And when I started this reading, thank you, Spirit, he just said now. When I started the reading, he said I was poisoned, and he's been saying cirrhosis all week in piano on the necrometer. Beethoven suffered from chronic, agonizing health problems throughout his later years. The underlying causes of his demise and illness have been illuminated by modern medical and genetic studies of his authenticated hair samples, which I thought was so cool because they did an autopsy and they found that there's a rumor that he had dark skin because of some people who proclaim that. But I guess his hair sample showed that he was just a white guy, okay, which there's nothing wrong with that. But he wasn't. There's a rumor going around that he was black, but according to this and DNA, he wasn't. So I don't know. There was something about him being referred to as a Moor, which in Ireland, all the depictions of Moors, Moor, are African. You know, they look like African, like dark black skin, big, certain cultural jewelry and stuff, and so I don't know. We all know that they lie sometimes, so it's a possibility, but we'll get into it. We'll see what he says. We'll see what he says. The primary cause of his death was liver failure, but he also had hepatitis B. He had a failing liver caused by massive buildup of fluid in his abdomen and swollen limbs. Doctors had to perform painful operations to drain his fluid. That sounds crazy. But he's known for many, many pieces of work. Okay, but one thing that stood out, why did Beethoven go mad? Probably because of the lead poisoning and stuff. It's supposedly because of the wine he drank. The wine back then, they would use lead to sweeten it, I guess, which Because I guess back then sugar was a high commodity. It was, yes, he is still earthbound. Absolutely, he is. So then, of course, we had to look up the conspiracy theories. So, some of the conspiracy theories, one was the Black Beethoven, that he was actually of mixed race descent, that his mother cheated on the father with a black man. There's also the secret society control, the Illuminati, and the Freemasons. So, a more historically grounded conspiracy theory poses that Beethoven's career was orchestrated and manipulated by the Illuminati and the Freemasons to spread radical political agendas through Europe. Beethoven was undeniably surrounded by Freemasons and members of the radical Bavarian order of the Illuminati from childhood. His most influential early teacher, Christian Gottlob Neef, and his primary patron, Count Waldstein, were both heavily involved in these groups. Conspiracists suggest his ultimate masterpiece, the Ninth Symphony, is a heavily encoded Masonic anthem.
We settled here.
While there is no official historical record that Beethoven ever formally joined a lodge, which there often isn't, right, because it's a secret society, the Enlightenment era ideals of universal brotherhood in his music align perfectly with the secret society doctrines of the time. Very interesting, right? Then there's the curse of the ninth. A famous superstition bordering on a conspiracy theory suggests that classical composers are supernaturally fated to die after writing their Ninth Symphony. The pattern: Beethoven died after completing his monumental Ninth Symphony, having only sketched fragments of a tenth. Later, great composers like Franz Schubert, Antonin Dvorak, and Gustav Mahler also died after completing their respective Ninth Symphonies. The curse became so widely feared that Mahler actively tried to trick the universe by renaming his actual Ninth Symphonic work Das Lied von der Erde, the Song of the Earth, to avoid the number 9, though he died while writing his official 10th anyway. And then there's also rumors that he was faking his deafness, which was easily debunked by his personal journals, the physical ear horns he left behind, and the written conversation books. So there was also a video that I wanted to play that will kind of tie into when you have supernatural help to help, just like the artists of today. They get into, like, we were talking to Frank Sinatra, and he was telling us that he could only yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That he could only go in at night to do his music, and we know. Oh my gosh.
This is my rescue dog, Pinky.
What
I got
the
her
hell
from the
is
animal
going
shelter
on?
in Los Angeles in December. She has a lot of quirks.
I'm
and
so
one
sorry.
Of them,
I'm trying. Okay, thank you. It wasn't working for me. And we know from other artists that have spoken about their time in the studio, like P. Diddy and other artists that are whistleblowing, is that they only go in at night. And they light candles, and it's dark, and they're getting messed up. They're drinking, and they're doing drugs, and it's a perfect environment for red ray astral entities to have physical experience by, they get invoked or summoned to help give the artist inspiration, because they're fourth dimensional, so they're able to tap into, pleasing to the ear sounds and patterns and talent. They give the artist talent, just like, Beyonce says there's Sasha Fierce, and there's a video of her dancing, and she shows, the entity dancing. It's like that. They invoke a spirit. Okay.
There is no aspect of Beethoven in which you could say Beethoven is great as a melodist, a harmonist, a contrapuntist, a tone painter, his orchestration. You can find fault with all of them. If you take any one of these elements separately, you find nobody. There's nothing there. He spent his whole life trying to write a good fugue. And he himself admitted he never succeeded. And as far as this orchestration is concerned, you could have it. I mean, it's bad. It has trumpets sticking out all playing the same note, and it's sort of drowning out everybody else. You can't really hear. You have to balance. The melodies go like that. And you can't really say it's a great melodist. And the harmony any child could write. And as for harmonies, how many times you have to listen to pages of one chord over it? It's not very interesting harmonically, right?
Well, what makes it interesting?
Well, it's the form. Well, form is a mold that can be made to be very uninteresting factor. But in Beethoven's case, the form is all, because it is a case of what note succeeds every other note. And in Beethoven's case, it is always the right next note, as though he had some private telephone wire to heaven, which told him what the next note had to be. No composer ever had that, even Mozart, to that degree, where everything is so unpredictable and yet so right. It all checks. It all works out. You can rely on it. You know the next note has to be the next note and the only next note that can come. And that makes his form perfect. How he had this, nobody knows, because he struggled. He scratched out. He never left his rooms. He went crazy, and he kept saying, well, I'm writing only the tip of the iceberg of what I really feel, what I could really write. His room was a mess. His food was uneaten. For 3 days, it was stale. The chamber pot was unemptied under his piano. He moved all the time. You couldn't find a place that was right. He kept trying. If you look at those sketches, you see the crossings out. You see the agonies that this man went through. And what has finally appeared as the finished product looks as though it was simply phoned in from God. That's what's so incredible. But he wrecked himself in his whole life trying to do this, trying to achieve this very inevitability. That's the word for it. It's every note that counts is inevitable. Could have been.
How did you do it, Beethoven? How did you do it? How did you do it? Did you telephone God and straight from heaven? Or did you telephone someone else? Can you explain the red ray? Oh. Well, oh, whoops, sorry. The red ray, they're the entities that live in the red ray. They feed off the red ray, so that's the root chakra. So basically, they need, in order to feed off of the root chakra, that it has to feed off insecurity, aggression, sex drive, things that would amplify those things. So like lust, not knowing where you're gonna go, not knowing what you're gonna do. You know, negative thoughts that would mirror those types of things. That's the red ray. And there's a positive polarity to that and a negative polarity. The positive polarity is being grounded, being rooted, being confident, having security, knowing that everything's going to be okay, having not being ruled by your sex drive, having control of your libido, having control of your aggression, your emotions. And so the opposite ray of that is, all the opposite things of that, So red is the color, the energy that exists. Yes. According to my spirit guides, yes. And they're stuck in that, and they're supposed to have evolved since, they're supposed to evolve into, levels of there's orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, violet. You're supposed to evolve your rainbow body, but when you get stuck in a particular ray of color and you are too afraid to grow or evolve in that ray, you get stuck in that ray and you end up having to, that's why they end up having to do the rituals over and over again, because it's the only way they can get energy. It's the only way they can get energy. And the energy has to be so specific because they refuse to evolve. They refuse to change. They refuse to do the work. They don't. They want to take the shortcut. It's like a glitch. You know, it's like a loophole. And so they stay in the red ray because there's been
You're
so many
surrounded by love.
centuries of this hijacking of vessels in this particular way that they have to, you know, we live in a, you know, God made a balanced universe. That God made a way for all paths to self-correct themselves, but if you're constantly making the path uncorrectable, then you have to constantly stay in the energy in which you created it to get the things that you
I
think you
scare
want.
people.
But you will lack whatever negative actions you're taking to get the thing you want. You will lack the very thing you need to be in peace, which is, you know, fulfillment of, you know, the 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 knowing that you have everything you need, and you that you're loved and that you're worthy and that you know you love yourself, all those things. Oh no, that's okay. I appreciate you. You asked the best question. So if you ask a question, I know it may be needed. Okay, so I want to know if Beethoven, if this was
How's your day?
an actual talent that he received through God or if he received it through something else, okay? So let's do the stickers to start. Let's get to know Beethoven. Ludwig van Beethoven. Thank you for being with us with any archangel.
Standing beside you.
Thank you. He said standing beside you. With any archangel that would like to participate or volunteer, I invite you into my energy field for protection with Beethoven. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see. Let's do some stickers. Ask him about Joanna. Oh, okay. Let me write that down. Joanna. Oh, well, look at what came out.
Thank you for visiting.
He said, thank you for visiting. Maybe that's the first thing he wants to talk about, Robin, is Joanna under I am. Because this is a woman's face over his. And there's this writing. There's the orange, which is the emotions, the sacral root, which is his emotions. He could have been driven to perform by a woman. Okay? Under masculine energy. Or that could have been his muse or his reason for wanting to go down this road. That's so funny you said that right when I pulled it, because if I would have seen a woman without you saying that, it would have been a little confusing for me,
I like to
think.
come here.
Okay. So, driven by love, possibly even obsession. I'm feeling a little obsessive energy from him. Yeah.
I'm innocent.
I'm feeling a little obsessive energy from him. You will get in my... Oh, wait. You could spit in my face and I would still find a way to romanticize it. Anyone. Definitely hypnotized by the punani, by someone's sexual energy for sure, or obsessing about a lover. Interesting, but this lover may have been promiscuous or got with anyone, something like that. Interesting. I hate people. I hate people. Absolutely. He's a recluse. Yeah. I chose for the thumbnail, I chose the picture of him in his room at the piano, and his room is a mess. He was in love with her. Yeah, well, let me look up Joanna. Let me see. Beethoven and Joanna.
See my shadow.
Shared a notoriously bitter relationship stemming from a prolonged decade-long custody battle over his nephew Carl. Ludwig despised Johanna, deeming her an unfit mother and demanding sole guardianship following his brother's death. Their intense legal struggle profoundly impacted all involved. Oh, interesting. Johanna fought back and the case bounced through Viennese courts for years. Ludwig revealed he was not of noble birth, forcing the case to civil court, where he briefly lost sole custody before ultimately regaining it. In 1820, and he said 1810, something about 1810. The intense hostility and alleged romantic rumors. I told you, he was obsessed with her. The reason he was doing that is because he was trying to get back at her. Because she didn't want to be with him.
This is secret.
This is secret. Nobody knew that. Joanna. Back and body hurts. Oh, he was in a lot of pain. Yeah, he was absolutely in a lot of pain. That's probably why his face is like that all the time. Because he's just in constant pain all the time. Because he had cirrhosis and hepatitis B. What are the symptoms of hepatitis B, I wonder? What are the symptoms of hepatitis B? Flu-like discomfort, severe liver inflammation, pain or constant aching. Oh, man. Yeah, absolutely. This isn't supposed to be in here. In the doghouse. Under Mars, action, energy, conflict, passion, sex drive, and aggression in the doghouse. Yeah, he was just an angry person because he was constantly in pain. But he was the bringer of his own pain because
The wall.
the wall. He hit some kind of wall, and there's something about Joanna that I don't know. I can't put my finger on it just now, but he definitely was tormenting her on purpose. Good job, he says. He was tormenting her. He's like, what's the...
Goodbye for now.
Because she didn't want to be with him. They may have had some kind of romantic fling after his brother died or during or something. And she didn't want him. So he made her life hell by targeting the child, saying that she's an unfit mother. Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. Okay. But everyone looked at him as under good job, I grow, Jupiter, expansion, philosophy, abundance. Everyone looked at him like he was trying to do the honorable thing. But the truth is right now that he was really doing it out of spite because Joanna didn't want anything to do with him. Because he's an angry guy. He's always in pain and he drinks a lot. And he's very intense, and he's very aggressive, and he's constantly his back and body hurts. He's just in a lot of pain, so it made him unpleasant to be around. Okay. Oh my gosh, this always comes out for celebrities and stuff. This is under I evolve, freedom, progress, rebellion, awakening, originality, and sudden change. And it just gives me like a fragment.
Shadow.
A shadow, yeah, because there's the star on her head. It's a fragmented person, it's
Help me, please.
yes, it's a false sense of self, it's what they project, but what it really looks like inside, kind of. It's very fragmented. It's all over the place. It wears makeup, but it lacks color. The lacking...
Understand.
Yes, understand. Lacking vitality. Lacking... when you give your energy away, you are lackluster. Gray to me is like... It kind of reminds me of that movie... Is it called Smallville or... I forget the name of it, but it starts off black and white, and then as time progresses, they start getting color because they start being like true to themselves. When you give your power away and you lack willpower and you lack control, it can take the life out of you. It can drain you. So something about being
Port.
drained. Port wine? Yeah, because he drinks a lot. Calm down and chive on. Calm down and chive on. Was he at the level of a rock star today? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. But Beethoven would be equivalent to a rock star today. Absolutely. Yep. 100%. My give a fuck meter, and it was upside down. My give a fuck meter. Under I'm power. He gave no fucks. He had an obsession. Under Pluto, I am power, obsession, sex, death, underworld, regeneration, subconscious. Yeah. There's something going on here. There's something going on here where he gave no fucks. It's almost like, it's almost like having a clock. Like knowing that your time is running out. Something about his time running out. Like knowing that he only had so much time.
We hear you.
Cause and effect. Clarity. Yeah, we hear you. There's something that he knew he was running out of time for.
I'm only 7.
Something he did was cause and effect, the sleeper. He might not, I don't know, that's weird. That's like another contradiction. He may have been ignoring the signs about something he did. It's almost like, like when you know you have a cavity, but you just ignore it and expect it to just go away, but it just keeps getting worse. It kind of feels like that. Let's do an imagine if. Tell me about this. Imagine if, but I don't know if I should call him Ludwig or Beethoven. Imagine if Beethoven were a superlative, which would he be? The goofiest.
Time does not exist.
The goofiest. Out of the easiest, cheesiest, smoothest, sleepiest, and sweetest, he's the goofiest. On top of potential, opportunity, and new beginnings.
Hatred.
Hatred.
You are courageous.
Oh yeah, there was a song I got.
I feel hopeless.
Let me do the song I got. So I woke up with this song in my head. It's by Keane. It's called Somewhere Only We Know. I walked across an empty land. I knew the pathway like the back of my hand. I felt the earth beneath my feet, sat by the river and made it complete. Oh, simple thing, where have you gone? I'm getting old and I need something to rely on. So tell me when you're gonna let me in. I'm getting tired and I need somewhere to begin. So it kind of makes me feel like what we were talking about when your talents come through light, when your talents come through hard work and dedication, it's easy. It becomes easy. It's fun. It's exciting. But when you get impatient and you don't want to do the hard work and you want a shortcut, the way you have to now receive that level of talent, you'll never be able to do that by yourself, because it's like it takes time and dedication.
Sarah.
I hope that's making sense. So say like at first he was very interested in the music and he worked really hard, and then a moment came where he wanted more, and
Irish.
and in his desire to want more, there's also a desire, or there's also a bit of impatience, of wanting to have it all now instead of taking his time and doing it the right way. So, and then once that happens, oh, simple thing, where have you gone? Like it used to make me feel because Spirit always says it's not about the destination, it's the journey. If you skip the journey and you go straight to the destination, you miss the pieces and components you need in order to be able to rely on your own ability to perform that talent. If you skip all of that, the journey where it takes time to marinate, and you're doing the things that need to be done for you to be able to produce it on your own, and you're skipping those parts, it becomes complicated, because what you had to do in order to skip those steps and go straight to the talent it's a very complicated process that you have to do constantly all the time. So I hope that makes sense. So, oh, simple thing, where have you gone? I'm getting old and I need something to rely on. And so what we're finding is, these people who do these shortcuts to their talent, that don't appreciate the journey, that want to get straight to the destination, they get old, and the thing that's needed in order for them to do the thing, they can't do anymore, because they're aging, and they don't have the same kind of, drive that they had when they were younger, and when they were angry, and when they were thirsty, when they were hungry. He did it for fame and recognition, or because he enjoyed making music? Well, I think that's what he's saying, is that at first, I walked in across an empty land. I knew the pathway like the back of my
Don't
hand.
sleep here.
I felt the earth beneath my feet, and sat by the river and made it complete. I think at first he was saying, he did it because he enjoyed it, and it made him feel complete to work on it, and to put his hands in it, and to really sit down and do the work, to practice. That's what made him feel good, and it was simple. It was, anything that's divine is very simple and easy to understand, and it's loving and it's kind. But oh, simple thing, where have you gone? I'm getting old, I need something to rely on. There's something that happened where it wasn't coming to him as easily. And that's what the cause and effect thing is. I want to know what that is. And it's kind of alluding to what the video was saying. When you're divinely inspired, everything like clicks into place. Everything falls into place where it needs to. It's always at the right time. It's always perfect. And it can also seem that way on the other end, where, the music and the creations that are made in the red ray can also sound good. They can sound good, but at the detriment of the artist, where it's taking from the artist, and the artist is starting to become lackluster and crazy, and going into psychosis, and becoming addicted, and that's the cost of the talent.
Will you stay a while?
So let's roll again. 5. Imagine if Beethoven were a condiment. Tabasco sauce, hot sauce. Yeah. He was starting to become more angry, more obsessed. The word I want to use is obsessed. There's like a high level of obsession. I also have enchanter, deception, trickery right here. Yeah, there's something about the low-hanging fruit. He ate the poison fruit. We'll try to see if we can get a timeline of like events of how that occurred. Hot sauce. It's getting hot in here. 5 again. That's 3 5s. 5 5 5. Imagine if Beethoven were a famous author. What would he be? Jackie Collins. Yeah, drama. Drama. Jackie Collins wrote about like Hollywood celebrity drama.
Son.
Oh, okay, he's talking about the nephew. He's talking about the nephew. Yeah, I am real. He was wearing a mask about that. That may have been the start of his troubles. When he purposely was trying to bring pain, you know, that can be a low-hanging fruit as well. You know, when you purposely try to do something on purpose to hurt somebody because you're not getting your way, that can be the low-hanging fruit as well. You can sign a contract with the devil doing that as well. When you make a choice to purposely hurt somebody because you want your way or you want it to have a go specific way, and so you purposely manipulate you purposely manipulate with your level of power and influence to make things go your way, even though they shouldn't go your way. You're just doing that to be spiteful. So there's definitely something about him that having an effect on his creativity and his ability to create. Oh, thank you, Robin. Robin's a fierce protector. I love her so much. Vengeance. Yeah, I told you, vengeance. Yeah, something about him having a vengeful heart towards Joanna may have anchored in a negative energy that took away from his creativity, that restricted him. Absolutely. He wanted it to go a specific way because he wanted vengeance, and that could have affected his field. When you take vengeance upon someone, that affects your field because that's not matching pure positive divine energy. You know, God said, vengeance is mine. And not that God is a vengeful God, but that the nature, you know, when you do something with a vengeful heart, you anchor in that energy and it affects your field. It infects your field. It poisons it. And you start to become a hateful person. That can affect your creativity. You're not going to be You're not going to be creating in a place of love and light. Now you're creating in a more complicated space. So there's like creating out of anger or creating out of love. Would you have controlled him? Who would have controlled him? Like record companies exploit artists today? I think back then it would have been more like the monarchy or like it's hard to say because they didn't have like you know, like the way like record companies like we have now. That's a good question. I'm not sure. Let's see. I don't even know how I would like phrase that. I know he did a lot of concerts. And you know, back then they didn't have TVs or anything. Like their main source of entertainment is live stage, you know, like Shakespeare and stuff. And I know with Shakespeare, it it's like, it doesn't have to be the monarchy, but back in those days, it's like royalty.
The
you
man
know,
attacks people.
like the Baroness or the Baron or the Duchess or you know, like people like that. I am a booty warrior. Oh, well. Okay, let's do a couple more. One. Imagine if Beethoven were a piece of furniture, which would he be? A coffee table. A coffee table. A coffee table.
1945.
Can you please clarify that? What do you mean by
Daughter.
that? What do you mean by that? Rival. Being used? Something about he didn't want. Oh, I see what you're saying. Because comparison.
We're standing around you.
Something about competition and comparison. Rivalry. In what way do I compare myself to others? do I enjoy competing? Does competition inspire or exhaust me? Coffee table. There's something about him not wanting to be boring. You know, he was very concerned about some type of competition. You know, he may have been comparing himself to other artists of the time, but he didn't want to, maybe that's why his music's so intense, you know? He didn't want to be considered, you know, boring or lackluster or just a common coffee table. You know, he wanted to be considered the greatest. You know, his obsession to be this great
It's watching you.
composer. There's like, so far we have vengeance upon Joanna. We have him perpetuating drama about that, and then we have his obsession to be a very well-known composer, some kind of rival. So he has a lot of red ray traits that could have influenced his negative outcome. You know, becoming an alcoholic, becoming a recluse, becoming a hoarder. You know, being very obsessive, not leaving the house. You know,
Occurrence.
he was trying. It's like this energy is so angry. I hear myself, moments when I truly hear myself, when my voice feels real and when I long to be heard. In what moments do I hear myself most clearly? What helps me speak from the heart? When do I feel the need to be the center of attention? Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think that losing his hearing made him feel very at a disadvantage. And I think that made him very angry that he lost his hearing. And so he was destroying himself by the anger from losing his hearing. There's something about that. You know, I'm not a psychologist, but what spirit tells me that I've asked before about the energy of anger, is that it's like a poison.
Powerful.
It's powerful, yeah. Your anger for something, if it's not properly processed and overcome and integrated, can spill out and infect so many facets of your life. And when you're acting in the emotion of anger,
Or apprehensive.
you're absolutely going to incur negative outcomes, because the emotion of anger is so far from your natural state of pure positive energy that when you consider your emotion of anger to be your midpoint where you are just angry all the time, that having that in your field can affect your body, your mind. It can affect your behaviors and your choices. It can affect the way you treat people. It can affect everything. It's like, and the same for love. It can be the same for love. But what Spirit is teaching me and what we hope to teach you guys and what we're learning from Beethoven right now is that anger can absolutely 100% be like an infection, like a poison. But it's also a choice. But what we don't understand is that it is a choice. And ultimately, even if you're angry for good reason, it doesn't mean you'll be angry forever. But if you are constantly living in an angry energy where you choose to let that anger control every aspect of your being, and you're acting out of vengeance, and you're putting on a mask, and you're constantly in competition, and you know, that's eventually it starts to spread, and it will start manifesting itself in your physical realm. So you'll start to, become a recluse. You'll start to be more obsessive. You'll start to have addictions. You'll start to treat people bad and push people away, and so on and so forth. And so that's what I'm getting about Beethoven. He was very angry. Okay, he was very angry about going deaf, and he was angry that. Let me get more about Joanna. I can hear my kids playing. Or
Curse.
curse. Thank you so much. Beethoven, you tell us what you want us to know. What about a curse? Something about him being cursed. What's that about? Let's see if we can get an image. So what exactly is going on here? Tell us about yourself, because it does say he grew up. It does say he grew up with people in the secret societies and stuff. What's your association with that? Some pancakes, please. Good choice, coming right up. Interesting.
The others scare me.
The others scare me. So he could have been asked by, he could have been dining with wealthy elites at a table for one. He may have wanted to get a leg up. Some pancakes, please. Good choice, coming right up.
You're welcome to stay.
And look how this bird's, I never saw this before, but the way this bird's foot is, it's like hooked around that wood. He was hooked. There's something he was hooked on. What was he hooked on? And doesn't this look like this flower looks like one of those old record players. What was he hooked on? Something about being hooked on something. And there's maple syrup, something sweet, something dirty, something where he got his hands dirty. Something he got his hands dirty with. Something that made a mess. Something, the washer is yellow, so something with his will. Something that made him unable to control something. He went down the stairs. He's also in front. He's downstairs, and there's also a game, a bullseye right here.
Clarity.
He black and white, secret society. Something he was, that made him, something that spoke to his inner child. He may have had a mother wound. Something that seemed like something he wanted. That got his hands dirty.
I'll affect you.
I'll affect you. Something that affected his later years. He was acting out of he was being a child. He wasn't thinking, he was being impulsive. Because this is what he wanted. He wanted to make music. He wanted to make music. But what happened? There's something about him playing live, something about him doing concerts and stuff. That may have been like the peak of his That may have been the peak of his experience where he was trying to get back to that. But he went deaf, and so that made him angry, and it made him tone deaf. And he was trying to create the same level of acceptance that he gained by putting in his orders, that something he got hooked on. But there's something about him not being able to play. Something about him not being able to hit the right notes or achieve
He
the
has
right
his
notes.
eye on you.
There's a lighthouse in the back. And there's a dog walking behind him. A dog walking behind him. And I had that he was in the dog house right here. In the dog house. Oh shoot, look at this. Right behind it. In the dog house. In the dog house. Why were you in the dog house? So this
Recording.
is recording. Why were you in the dog house? He put a nail in the coffin because he was trying too hard.
They did spells.
They did spells.
Break.
Break. Oh. Stop it. He may have been in the doghouse with this group. They may have refused to help him or be associated with him because of something he did. He made a mess of something, and they didn't want to be associated with him or give him the level of concerto that he had at one time. He absorbed crowd applause and energy almost like farming Lush. He was addicted. Absolutely. But then he's on a leash right here. So there's something that it's like they didn't want him to do something, or he didn't want to do something. And so he may have gone mad because he refused to do the thing that he initially did, the mess he made. There may have been something he did.
I'm right next to you.
Thank you. There may have been something he did that got his hands dirty, that made him a target, or that got him what he wanted. But like I said, you have to keep doing it in order to maintain. What was the spiritual reason he had to deal with being deaf in that life? Was it karma from a past life? I think it was this group. This Illuminati group. I don't know why, but I think it may have been a punishment, vengeance for something. I'm going to try to get to the bottom of it, but oh, this was out. I didn't even mean for it to be out. Tony, do you want to go for a ride? Yeah, because look at right here. They have the loop around his foot. You want to go for a ride? Like a trick. Some kind of trick. And I have a boat over here as well. He missed the boat.
Amy.
So there's something about him. Thank you. Schmoozing it up and being part of the elites. Okay, he's definitely at the table with people of power, of influence, people who have secret knowledge, and in the red.
Failed.
Failed, yeah. So he definitely gets invited to become part of this, elite, whatever, this secret society. He participates in something that is promised to him to bring concerts and attention. But the thing about him is he's already a talented person. So this is interesting because a lot of the readings we have, we don't have a lot where the talent has already been cultivated. It's like the desire's there, but the talent hasn't been cultivated. But in Beethoven's case, it seems like the talent was cultivated to a certain extent, and that's when he may have been approached or
My name is Lizzie.
inquired about, certain workings of the society. Okay, then he gets invited. He goes downstairs into a basement or tunnel or a secret cavern or place where his will is subjected to a series of bombardment. His will gets tested, meaning, can you resist the temptation? And the temptation can be drugs, alcohol, sex, whatever the temptation is. But it's messy. Okay, it's designed to tug at your red ray, the things you're insecure about. If you're not a very attractive person and
Hypothermia.
women or men are throwing themselves at you, that could be something that is very tempting for you. Okay,
Malefaction.
he was born deaf in 1 year or developed it. I think he developed it.
The woman scares me.
I'm getting that he developed it, but he's saying he developed it, but let's just double check. Did Beethoven develop his deafness, or was he born with it? Yeah, he developed it in his late 20s. Yeah, until he was born with normal hearing, and he began noticing symptoms such as tinnitus and difficulty hearing high frequencies. Around 1796, at age 26, his hearing loss progressed gradually until he became profoundly deaf by 1819. And he said 1810. So something between 1810 and 1819 is I think the height of this introduction to the Illuminati. He was already interested in music, and so he was running in those circles. He went downstairs into a dark place. Little, yeah. Something that would have enticed his inner child, and that would give him, everything he wanted. Okay, but there's something about him being in the doghouse, being leashed up. I think he may have stopped. There may have been he may have attended multiples of these meetings. I think he may have attended a multitude of these meetings and have participated in something that was messy to be able to be in the concert, but there's something about him stopping a predator. There's something about him, because this dog is on a leash and it's being prevented from attacking the ducks, the prey. So there's something about him. The minute he did that, he signed his death warrant, because that's when he got his gifts taken away. That's when he got his gifts taken away by this society. And what we know is that they absolutely do spiritual warfare, and they know how to do that because of the entities that they work with. And so they could have actually started his decline of his hearing, because he stopped something that was supposed to keep happening. And so the minute that happens, you sign your death warrant. Yeah. Do you want to go for a ride? And you can see the rope around. Okay, so He may have gotten his gifts taken away because he tried to stop someone in this group, and that was a no-no. Because these are powerful people, and art show today, all are welcome. There may have been a lot of people that knew that this was being done to him, that he was on a decline. Interesting. Let me see what I can get.
Extrovert.
Grave robbers, yep. Grave robbers. Yeah. Doing necromancy. They did necromancy on him. He may have witnessed them do something, and then there was one instance where he's like, that's too much. Why don't you leave them alone? He stopped a ritual. He basically stopped a ritual. Or rock concert. Rock concert. Or he didn't shy. Yeah, he didn't want to participate in a specific ritual. See, once you're there, beer bellies. Yeah, that's what. So he was spiritually attacked, you guys. He was under spiritual attack. They said, what would be the worst thing to happen to someone who creates music? Going deaf. And so animal. So they attacked his and they can absolutely do that. And so once his hearing started to go, he became very angry, but the Godfather, but they're like a mafia. So he can't come up against them. He has no power. Yeah, so he started to become dull because he already participated in one ritual that gave him the ability to create. But there's one instance that put him in the doghouse, that made them realize that he's not going to be viable, for the duration of the journey, that he's showing signs of duress, that he stopped a ritual. Okay, telemarketers, he said no thank you. It says no thank you, no I'm not interested, no I have to go now. Okay, so
We're here to help.
we're here to help. So he's saying, by refusing to, or by stopping it, or walking away, or this dog's on a leash. So I think that he may have.
I'm reaching out.
I think he may have stopped it. And that put him in the doghouse. And so by doing that, he gets his gift taken away. He starts to become deaf. But he has no, he has no supernatural education about what's happening. And so this is why we're passionate about teaching you guys about spiritual warfare, and about these groups, and about this other, this other way of being that is absolutely real, that affects your electromagnetic field. If there's a disruption in your electromagnetic field, it can affect your physical body.
Happy.
And you will not know how to combat against it. And the way you combat against it is by not matching it. So the way he matched it was that he was determined and very thirsty to achieve the level of musical height that he did before. But he only reached that because he took a shortcut. He did a ritual. But the next ritual that was to be done was too intense for him. He said, no, I can't do that. And then that's when they cut that connection off. And since you already did a ritual, now you're bound to that energy. And so that losing his hearing, that directly affected his ability to make music. The one thing that he, it used to be so simple and now it's complicated. I get that we all have our own journeys, but this doesn't seem much to process in contrast to other guests. Salvation of God is the path for all of us. Some take longer road to get there, but we all get there. It doesn't seem that much to process. Do you mean like his story? I'm not sure I understand the way that that's written. I'm not sure I understand what you're saying, but I love you. Gravity, what goes up must come down. Yeah, it's the laws of gravity. He didn't recognize the gravity of the situation. He didn't think that, he didn't know,
Sarah.
he didn't know that this was possible. Zen in reverse. Yeah, Zen in reverse. It's because once you participate or even know at all that this is
Hello.
what they do, then and you want to break away or branch off, you cannot. You become a liability because you have knowledge of what they do, and so they have to destroy you in some way. They have to take away something from you, so you're not credible, so you're not able to speak out, so your demise basically, and so you take yourself out. So there's no way of drawing conclusions or going back to the source. They need it to be a clean, disconnection. And what better way to do it, to get to not get your hands dirty, than is to is to do necromancy. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying that's what this group believes. They here, let me, this is supernatural education to tell you what these groups believe in and what they do. And it's not that you have to do these.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's not that you have to do these things. It's that they believe that you have to do them so much, and there's so many of them that, and we're not educated about our own electromagnetic fields, that it affects us psychically, and it affects our electromagnetic field, which then infests our whole bodies run on electric. So if you poison the electricity, you poison the mind, you poison the soul, you poison the person electromagnetically, and it affects them, and they start to, because we're not aware of that, we will take our anger and all these things that it's exacerbating, and we'll run with it, and we'll think that, well, this is who I am now. I'm this angry person, and it will start to affect our body. Well, now, we're going to become alcoholics because we're so angry and we're so much pain that we can't, that we made a mistake, or that it feeds on that. And so it needs you to be in that energy to affect you. But the minute you decide, no, I don't want to be angry anymore, I choose happiness, I choose joy, I choose, even though this isn't the ideal way I wanted it to go, I still have a roof over my head, and I still have clothes, and I still have a warm cup of coffee. It's about choosing. I made a verse that I love. Actually, I love it. I said, joy is a choice. It's my superpower.
You want
Because
to talk.
sometimes you expect things to go a particular way, and instead of getting angry or upset that it's not going the way you want, you accept that this is the way it's going. What are the things that are happening now that are also going good? So it's about choosing which one you focus on. Well, this group wants you to focus on the negative, because that's the way they match and can send necromancy to you. Now, necromancy is, what is necromancy? The practice of communicating with the dead, often by summoning their spirits to seek advice, uncover hidden knowledge, and predict future events. And they also do this in the graveyard, grave robbers. So they have to go to the graveyard, and they have to extract, something from that particular grave, and then they have to, do a ritual with it, with something of yours, either, fluid or items, personal items. It's very ritualistic. Do you have to do that to talk to your loved ones? No. But it's because they're always doing it for their own selfish, negative outcomes. It's always for them, like, what can you do for me? And so they're never paying homage to their ancestors. They're just, like, using them. And they'll send that spirit to you,
Damage.
and it will cause damage to you. It will haunt you, or it will cause you to go insane, or it will give you intrusive thoughts, or it will make you feel like you want to, drink, or I thought I heard something. And so that's what happened to Beethoven. It took away his peace. It took away his peace. And he didn't recognize the gravity of the situation. He didn't recognize that by him calling out those people and refusing to do the ritual, he signed his death warrant. Snakes. Yeah. Snakes. The Great Depression. The Eiffel Tower. Yeah, that was his tower. And they were sending death spells to him. They cursed his hearing, so he would lose his hearing because they knew KKK, because they knew the woods, because they knew that would be a way to mark him, to really hit him where it hurts. Okay? Because he became a liability. Cowardly. He says they're cowards. He says they're cowards. They couldn't do it to my face. They couldn't. I saw them do depraved things, and I refused to do those things, and because they're cowards. Celine Dion. Yeah. A singer whose heart will go on and on and on. Swiss chocolate. What use are cartridges in battle? I always carry chocolate instead. Yeah, he wishes he would have. He didn't know he was in spiritual battle. He didn't know that he was being spiritually attacked. And so if he would have known, if he would have had that education and been able to recognize it, he wouldn't have, fell so hard for the energy manipulation. It's an illusion. The way that you can recognize it in the moment, if someone's sending you an illusion or depression, they can send all these energies to you, but you have to match it. But if you're not matching it, you get to this place and you're doing your spiritual hygiene and you're doing the appropriate things that make you a clear conduit for clarity, you can discern when it's happening in the moment. And I can only speak for myself because I have spiritual warfare sent to me all the time, just because of the path I chose. I chose this to tell everyone that I have childhood psychic abilities, and so that naturally makes me a target. But it's nothing to be afraid of. It's just the name of the game. It's just the way it is. If you're on the right track, anyone's going to be attacking you, and it doesn't have to just be spiritual. It could be, jealous people at your workplace. It could be your jealous best friend. It could be your jealous family. Like it can attack you in multiple ways, but this specifically is like a direct spiritual attack by doing spell work and using crossover people. And I use the word using because these crossover people don't want to do this, but they make them do it. They bind them to do it. It's almost like
Presence beyond mirror.
it's almost like they bind the soul to them and treat them like a slave almost. And so that bound soul has to constantly, it never gets to rest, basically. Well, thank you so much. I couldn't help but hear this interesting conversation. I want you to know the artist you were talking about before. We're talking to Beethoven. We're talking to Beethoven. Okay? And so what's making him so angry, it's not just, Joanna, it's not just him going deaf. It's him wanting to achieve the level of greatness that he achieved when he did the ritual. And him trying to constantly get back to that because he knows that it's possible, but he doesn't know how. Because when he was in that state, when he was being, it's not
I
that,
understand what you say.
it's not that he created it. He could have, if he continued the journey and did it the right way. Maybe he would have been older when he achieved it.
New
but
matter.
he got impatient. And so it's kind of like when they say, you know, once you see it, you can't unsee it. When you take that shortcut and you skip the journey and you go straight to the talent, it's not that that is your, you have to be able, how do I explain this? So the way electromagnetism works, the fact that you were able to get to that, to experience that level of talent, even if it wasn't from your own hard work and you took a shortcut, means that it's possible for you to
The
achieve
woman
that.
scares me.
Because if it wasn't possible, if that wasn't in one of your alternate timelines to be at that level, then you wouldn't be able to experience it. And so that's a good thing, okay? But once you know that you can get there, after you do the ritual, it's harder for you to get there because you know how easy it was by doing the ritual to do it. It makes it hard for you to get there now in this new energy you're in, where you're angry and you're vengeful and you're a hoarder, and you know you're so angry. You can't create that level of natural talent in the energy of anger and despair and depression. Those are two
Clever.
different energies. And so, you know, that's where a lot of his obsession and his drinking starts to come in, because he knows that he's already experienced a level of talent and ability that he knows is possible. And so he's like, why can't I create like that again? Why can't I do it by myself? Why did I do it that one time? And that's just growing and exacerbating his anger. Every soul that puts a curse or negative comment in this will carry that with you. Shut your mouth. It's okay, Robin. Let them bury themselves in their own hole, and they'll have to get themselves out. Every encounter is meant to be. Okay? So
It disguises itself.
but it's also Cleopatra in reverse. When we did the reading with Cleopatra, it disguises itself, yes. When we did the reading with Cleopatra, she was doing rituals as well. And so once you do the ritual to attain that level of talent, you have to keep on doing it if you want to achieve or experience that level. Otherwise, you have to go, it's like going backwards. You have to go back where you started, and you have to start at that level and then work your way up in the way that it was meant to be worked. And you also can't take anything with you.
Night whispers.
Anything that you gained in the energy when you did the ritual, in talent, music, items, objects, houses, clothes, anything that you gained in that energy, if you want to attain that level of talent the natural way, you have to leave all that behind and start over from scratch. You have to start over in the new energy of wanting to do it yourself without any help, or with God. God will be your help, but you have to start over. And a lot of people, oh my gosh,
We will make a noise.
spontaneous combustion. I wanted to do a reading about that. The ignition of substances without application of an external heat source, like I just said, it has to come from within. But if you're surrounded by things you gained in that negative energy, they're two different energies. And so you're not going to walk forward in a new energy when you have all the things that you're still keeping around you from the old energy in your field. Okay, we're speaking electromagnetically. Everything carries an electromagnetism. And if you want to walk in a new energy, you have to leave everything behind and start over. That's the way it is. What would you say to a materialist to make him change his mind? You can't take it with you. I talk to crossed over people all the time, and they leave all their material possessions behind and didn't work on their emotional state at all. And when they cross over, they're earthbound because they didn't work on the things that that they never worked on the things that made them have guilt and shame. They actually kept those things within themselves, hidden and a secret until their death, and they never got to process it or integrate it or talk about it or do anything with it. And so when they cross over, they actually cross over with guilt and shame, and they don't get to go home. So as much effort as they put into their material wealth, they put no effort into their emotional healing, and they didn't take any wealth with them. But what they did take is their guilt
Iron
and shame,
Age.
and it makes them stuck. It makes them stuck. So that's one thing I would say is, if you're putting all your efforts into becoming the best pianist in the world, or becoming famous, or having the nicest car in the neighborhood, those are things that are just bonuses of this experience that you're allowed to want and desire. But if you're using those things as a way to bypass your emotional trauma, the trauma is the thing that keeps you earthbound, that doesn't let you go home. And so when you cross over, all of your belongings are going to stay here, and you're going to go onto the other side, and you're going to be a lost soul, and you're going to be one of the souls that they call upon to be bound to them, because you're earthbound, and they can't call on souls that go home, only souls that are earthbound, and you'll have to do their bidding. And I promise you, this is what we're finding. Thank you, Crudo Parma. Ooh, chicken parm. That sounds good. Damn, Beethoven.
Watch out witchcraft.
Watch out witchcraft. I'm telling you. He just said, watch out witchcraft. This is supernatural education for you guys. Because there are groups of people that have been poisoned and infected with this religion or belief system that they can control the outcome by using witchcraft. Honestly, I promise you. And there's lots of people that have been in the public eye that came
Don't
across this group or this belief system that are earthbound because they took the low-hanging fruit. So it basically drove him mad that he attained a level of what he says was perfection, and that he was never able to reach that level by himself, and that drove him mad. And the fact that the spiritual warfare actually affected his hearing, which was on purpose, because he stopped a ritual. You don't stop a ritual, you become a liability, and they further say, how dare you, because they're like the mafia. How dare you stop us, you don't refuse. And made an offer we couldn't refuse. Okay, but he refused. How to not be earthbound? Forgiveness for the self? Absolutely. The way that you can go home, and
Let's be friends.
And just so you know, if you do end up being earthbound, God says they want everyone to heal. So everyone has access to healing. 1444 in the chat, on the timestamp.
My name is Victoria.
Everyone can choose to heal. But if you choose earthly material things over being a balanced emotionally balanced person, if you put that above your healing, you stay earthbound. But once you cross over, you can at any time forgive yourself and go home. But I will say that a lot of the time, because a lot of people die without any truth being revealed about their secrets, about their traumas, they die and they take it to the grave. They are not able to process it, and what helps them process or accept or let go of their emotional hang-ups when they cross over is telling their story.
Anxiety.
And so we're finding that through these readings, by actually, you know, if you go to a medium, they always say, you know, I love you and this happened, and but they never actually like divulge the story or the secrets that were never explained, that are the very things that keep them from going home. And so you need to have psychics and mediums to be able to do that. And so that's why God has created all the readers that are coming on. Some are false. I will admit some are false, and so it's up, and God wants it that way because God wants you to be able to discern, just like Yeshua did, which readers are of the light and which ones are not. And everyone's on their journey, and that could be a way for that reader, that false reader, to come into their awareness of God. But the readers, the reason why all the stories are so negative and stuff is because there's a lot of souls that have crossed over that were hit by spiritual warfare or generational curses or witchcraft, so on and so forth. Centuries of souls, like thousands of years worth of souls that are stuck. And so it's been a culmination, a building up of pressure, and God created this outlet in order for those souls' stories to be heard. So, you know, we can't read people's energy without their permission, and so people who are crossed over are standing in line to be heard. So that way, oh, thank you so much. Oh, I love that. That's so cute. Yeah, so I'll drink to that. Stay hydrated. And so our mission here is twofold. You know, to develop our spiritual abilities with you guys and to show you that we all have spiritual abilities, and that my heart, and that our loved ones need us to be in connection with our spiritual abilities in order to be able to hear their stories, so that way we can learn from them, so we can break our generational curses, and so we can be immune to witchcraft, because there's people who are dabbling in witchcraft, and it's confirmation with a notification. That seems hardest for many to grasp. The crafters are operating at every level of society. It is hard for people to grasp because they've done such a good job at making people feel like witchcraft is, not real, or just something from the movies, when it's absolutely real. And I know 100% of the fact that it's real, because I have been through spiritual warfare, and I constantly go through spiritual warfare every day, and I see it and I laugh at it because it's silly. It's just really silly. And anyone who uses witchcraft, I have to say, you're just perpetuating your own inability to empower yourself. You're relying on something outside of yourself to control an outcome that was never meant to be controlled. And when you do that, you incur karmic consequences, karmic debt. And so that's why they're so afraid of evolving, because they're gonna have to go through centuries of karmic debt, or they're gonna stay in purgatory for a long time. So how can we heal it? Thank you so much, Beethoven. Thank you so much. Oh, see, we would have never known this if we didn't read it. How would anyone ever know how he got there? And we will say it's never for no reason. When you go through these things, when you become an alcoholic, when you become a drug addict, when you become so angry, when you become vengeful, all of these things are not your pure divine energy. It's not your natural state. And so there has to be an impact point or a reason why you're exhibiting these negative traits. And even if it is a chemical imbalance, you are not born with addiction. You are not born with anger. You're not born that way. It happens throughout your life. There's something that happens. And so it's up to us to discern or to recognize or to identify what that is, so we can process it. And once we process it, it gets out of our field. But those are the non-physical things that affect our electromagnetic field and affect our health and our well-being and our minds. And
Are
so,
you recording?
he quite literally went into psychosis and became a recluse and became an alcoholic and all of these things because of this, decision he made in his 20s, when he was a child, when
My
he
throat.
wasn't mature enough to make a decision. It was an impulsive decision that he made. Okay, it's absolute. Yeah, he was absolutely affected by depression,
Choice.
but he wasn't aware that it's a choice. You get to choose. Joy is a choice. It's my superpower. Once you decide to not be a match to those things, they cannot affect you. It's like sticking a marble to Velcro. Spiritual education, supernatural education, if you make your electromagnetic field clear and clean through your spiritual hygiene, through your deliberate intention, through your choosing joy, through you cleaning the house, organizing the closets, choosing to exercise, choosing to eat better, not doing the substances, not drinking alcohol, not being a jealous person. These are the things that help you be a clear conduit matching magnetic field to your divine energy. And once you get into that energetic state, Christ consciousness, whatever you want to call it, it's where Yeshua was teaching us how to become that. Then they can send you anything they want, and it will
Compassion.
never affect you. It will never affect you. I don't believe in black magic. I believe that other people do, and that's what is plague. That's the plague. That's one of the beasts that we're fighting in this in our society. I believe that other people believe in black magic so much to an extent that they use it in every aspect of their life. I believe that what we say is black magic is really just negative unaccountability and projection. Okay, that's what I believe.
You were respected.
Inner work. It's an inner condition, hence sin means to miss the mark. Archer, when he shoots, does not blame the arrow, for looks to his aim. Forgiveness, love, and wisdom leads to healing. Always get back up. Absolutely, bloop. Bloop, ploop. Absolutely. He says, God brings me my ideal situations for my inner healing. As I become aware of my weaknesses, I turn them into strengths. I direct my thoughts towards the light and see the positive side of every stage of my life. Darkness turns into courage, thus I get stronger. Absolutely. You did not come here to have an easy life. If he was affected by them affecting his hearing, and that was starting to make him depressed, make him angry, put him in negative emotion. Instead of being angry at that, he should have changed his perspective and looked at it as a way of God bringing him a way to do something differently, to change something differently. But he didn't see it as that, and so he became angry instead of realizing that he basically took a shortcut. When he was mad at him, the inner work would have been him to realize that he wasn't mad that he was going deaf. He was mad at himself for taking a shortcut and not putting himself in a place where he didn't need to take the bait. Is basically what he's saying. He would, whatever that was in his inner child that made him feel inadequate, that made him take the low-hanging fruit in that emotionally immature energy where he had a mother wound or whatever his wound was. He took the bait, and he did that because he wanted to be the greatest. And you have to understand that if you want validation and admiration from people, that's a sign that there's something within you that needs to heal, because you're not always going to have validation outside of yourself. You need to be able to validate yourself and to know your own worth and to trust in God's path for you, that you
They
can
buried me
that you
alive.
can achieve anything you want through God. And through your own power. So he understands that he didn't understand that. He understands now that he didn't understand that then. Wisdom. God has a plan for me. I live here now knowing beauty is to come. Joy is a choice. It's my superpower. I don't force things to happen faster than the universe has decided for me. I learn from my experiences, take small steps, and succeed thanks to all my efforts, just like I told you guys. You can, if just the fact that he was able to take the shortcut to his ultimate potential shows that he was a magnetic match to become that. But because he was impatient and impulsive and he wanted it now, instead of trusting the journey that he was on, instead of trusting in his own abilities, instead of trusting himself, he took the low-hanging fruit and took a shortcut. And so your experiences will match the energy that you got that talent in. I hope that makes sense for you guys. Is there an age that one reaches where after you can sell your soul free will? Wait, let me read that again. Is there an age that one reaches where after you can sell your soul? Oh, like if you can be free of that? Absolutely. Yes. Yes, you can. Let me draw a card on it in case God wants to chime in.
You were wise.
Vitality. I am a being of light. I accept the divine energy in my body and every one of my cells regenerates. Absolutely. Action. My divine action incites love and
Agree.
harmony. Agree. I am aware of my thoughts and driven by positive forces. I listen to my heart. My desire to manifest light transforms tests into growth, challenge into opportunity, and fear into love. Absolutely. And God just said agree. So it's, if you sold your soul in whatever capacity that is, and you want to get back to your pure positive state, then, like Can't Drive Till 16, then you have to, everything that you gained in that negative energy, you have to let it go, because it's not a matching frequency to God energy. And so once you leave all that behind, now you're at a place where your actions need to reflect your divinity. So even if you're experiencing karmic consequences, even if you're in the midst of, becoming homeless, you have to accept that
600 years
at
ago.
some point you have to experience what you gave out in whatever capacity that is. But once you are in the midst of experiencing that obstruction or that obstacle, you must in that moment find a way to make your actions push towards viewing it in a positive way. And I think that's the hardest part that people find about going through something hard. For one, accepting that it is a karmic consequence and a mirror reflection of what I gave out, and to accept that and take responsibility for that. And then two, once you take responsibility for that, actually being able to find the joy and the things that you're grateful for when you're in that low moment. But because it's so hard to do, a lot of people can't do it, and I wouldn't say, and it's not easy. It takes repetition, it takes commitment, it takes
Hello, my friend.
it takes structure and discipline to constantly choose that. But once you go through that negative moment that you're experiencing, and you understand that it's a moment and that it's not going to be this way forever, and you change the way that you think about it, instead of saying, I'm never going to get out of this, why does this always happen to me, why do I always have to do this, and what did I do so wrong, and what's going, instead of, being like that, you say, I understand that I'm sorry, I understand that this is a dualistic universe. And so I understand that what goes up must come down. And so whatever I'm going through now, I accept that this could possibly be something that is reflecting what I gave out. Upon accepting that, I wish, or I would love the idea of overcoming this and coming out a better person and learning the lessons and not experiencing this again. I love the idea of aligning to my highest potential, and
Leg.
and I ask for your guidance in these moments so I can overcome these obstacles. I appreciate the opportunity to learn a lesson and to overcome it and break a generational curse. Like, it doesn't have to be exactly like that, but you have to have a level of awareness that whatever's happening to you could be a natural consequence for what you gave out. Okay, now that I accept that, now I have to create, or now I have to think about how I want it to be. Because if you keep thinking about how it is, and you're not connecting with the things you're grateful for and how you want it to become, you're not going to experience more. You're only going to experience more of how it is. That this is what's going on right now, but I have all these good things going on, and I'm really excited to be out of this energy and overcome it so I can get to my highest potential. It's just a changing of the way you talk to yourself. Okay? My divine action incites love and harmony. I am aware of my thoughts and driven by positive forces. I listen to my heart. So for Beethoven, the way that he could have overcome this was to say, I really regret what I did when I was immature and I was wanting validation. I know that what I experienced went against my morals and my values, and I shouldn't have done it.
My name is Walter.
I accept that what I'm going through right now is a direct mirrored reflection and consequence of what I did. I thank this opportunity to overcome these obstacles and to find new paths and new ways of being in the energy I created. And I hope to heal that part of myself so I don't attract those things to me again. I look forward to how it unfolds in this new energy I'm in, and I'm grateful to be here, and I love my life. It's speaking like that. If he would have just said that and just accepted that he made a mistake and that he got himself caught up in things that, made him do things he shouldn't have done, he could have turned that around and it could have gone a different way. But that's the lesson that we have to learn today from Beethoven. Do the inner work. Know that your pure positive state, your divine state, is divine, and then take actions that are in that divinity, and you can turn it around. Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, guys, I gotta go. That was a 2-hour read. I'm so hungry. After I do such a long read, I get so hungry. I love you guys. That was so interesting. Thank you to Beethoven. Thank you to my angels. Thank you all for being here. We're going to be here tomorrow. I'm not going to announce who I'm doing, but we are going to do something. I have a couple. I'm not actually 100% sure what I'm going to do, but we're going to do something. So we'll be here again if you want to come. Thank you, LOL. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Bloop Bloop. Thank you, Lucas. G Skillet, Randy. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.